Hello, hello. Welcome to the show. It's been a minute. We haven't had one. I decided when it's a need for it, we would have it. I didn't want to just start throwing things out at you guys about the show and lose the integrity of what the purpose of me creating the show to begin with. Well, we have one. We have a moment where we need to have a serious discussion about some things that, of course, are not being narrated in our community. So that's what the show is for. So today we have another special guest. Rosshiki Leatherwood is here today, and we're going to bring life to his beautiful wife, Claudia Beckton Leatherwood. Today we're going to discuss the topic at hand, which is the shortening of her life here. As I've said in the past, energy doesn't die, it transforms. So I do believe she is still with us here today. I do feel that I can say that because of her and because of who I know who she is, it gives me the strength to even sit here today with Rosshiki to have this conversation. As I've told him, I am a little nervous for the first time doing this show, but this is a conversation we need to have. And for whatever reason, I was chosen to be the person to have the vessel, be the vessel to have this conversation. So we're here today. So in the meantime, as always, bam, you know it's coming. My book is still available as long as we're still having babies. It is still available for everyone on Amazon.com, and it is also now available on Kindle. I am still working on the audio. Most know that I also have a book coming out supposedly the end of this year called The Strength of a Woman, to speak of my personal trials and tribulations or my experiences per se. It won't be in details as far as personal things, but it would definitely let other women and men understand or find out how to try to figure out how to get out of some things or get through some things. We're going to go to a short commercial break. Oh, before we do that, I do want to let everyone know that I do have a women's retreat coming up called HER, which stands for Heal, Exposure, and Release. And that is October 12th. We have a few spaces remaining. If you would like to be a part of this women's retreat, you can contact myself, Chandra Brown, Jessica Norwood, or my girl, Taquita Wynn. Reach out to any four of us and we can get you, added to the retreat. In the meantime, we're going to take a short break. When we come back, we will bring Rosshiki Leatherwood onto the show and we will have a discussion. If you have any questions or comments, put them in the comment screen and we will attempt to answer them after the show. Again, stay tuned.
Got a court case? Call Jerome Carter. If you want to win, call Jerome Carter. Every time I went to court with Jerome, I won. If you want to win, call Jerome right now.
And we're back. Welcome to the show. Thank you for gracing me with your presence today. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you.
Thank you again for allowing me to bring you on. We're going to go ahead and jump right into it.
Right.
As I've told everyone, I've been really nervous trying to plan for today. This is actually our first time meeting face to face. And as everyone has said, it's a very pleasure to meet you. Just being here in this short period of time, I already feel a little relaxed, so thank you for that. But I do want to start off with questions that I have so we can get into what actually took place. Okay. The first question I want to ask is, who is Claudia? Because I want to bring her to life. Who is Claudia?
Who is Claudia? I've had 22 months to really think about who Claudia really is. Never once did I have to think about who she was because she was always there. In her absence, I've been having moments where I tried to redefine who she was and try to put everything in perspective as who she was. She was more than the accident. She was more than just my kid's mother. She was more than just my life partner. Without being too much, but in all essence, I feel Claudia was like God's manifestation of love for me, for my life. We talk about things, we hear over this journey of the last 22 months, I hear people always constantly tell me, I'm praying for you, I'm doing this. So I'm like, okay, that's fine. So it made me start looking back and start thinking and just going back and reading the passages of the Bible and stuff. You say, well, God will send you a comforter. So, or maybe they're praying for my comfort. Maybe they're praying for my healing, whatever. And just last night it hit me, and I was just I couldn't sleep last night. I was like, what am I going to say? I don't want to say nothing wrong.
Right.
But there's nothing wrong to say. So while everybody's praying for a comforter, I was in the midst of my comforter the entire time. The entire time. She was like the pillar for my spirit. And so even in times when we were fighting, you know, it was beautiful because I look forward to making up to her.
Yes.
And so, you know, that was the beautiful part about it. She was my healer. So we talk about my healer. So me and my father had an estranged relationship for pretty much basically almost 36 years. And at the birth of my daughter, I was like, because he was absent in my life, I didn't want to subject, I was letting that hate for him keep me from letting her have the relationship that she was entitled to with her grandfather. But it was Claudia who brought me in and, you know, just really opened my eyes to that it was okay to hurt. It was okay to be disappointed in him, but it was more important to love again. And so I found myself just like a lot of people. You know, I was waiting on God to give me something, and all the time God was waiting on me to open my eyes to what I already had laying before me. So if you ask me again, who was Claudia? She was God's manifestation of love in my life for me.
Okay, I'm trying to keep it together myself. I'm so sorry. I said I wasn't going to do this, but I'm going to get it together because this is something that has to be done. It has to be said, and I want to do what I can for you. So forgive me. How old is Claudia now? How old is Claudia?
November 6th, she would be 41.
Okay. I knew I was older than her, so I got about 2 years. Okay. How many children?
We have 2 kids.
2 kids. Okay.
Yes.
Now how old are they now?
Jacoby's 16, Brooke is 11.
Okay. Yeah, Brooke is 11. I don't know why I thought Brooke was older than 11
No,
years
Brooke
old.
Brooke is
She's
Brooke.
11 years old. Okay. We're gonna go ahead and start talking about the actual event.
Okay.
Tell us what you were doing when you got that phone call. Were you with her by chance, close to her? Where were you when you got that phone call?
I was actually in the parking lot talking to a friend of mine, Trip, one of my clients, and Claudia and I had been texting back and forth because I wanted to go to Midnight Rodeo to watch the guy who sings Queen of my Double Wide Thriller. It was a joke, and I kept asking her like, come with me, come on, and it was her birthday weekend, so I was playing on the fact this is your birthday.
Right, let's go to radio. So
we was texting back and forth, and then the last text, I texted and I told her, I said, I'm not gonna go, I'm gonna come home and just give you a massage and open this bottle of booze and we're gonna just chill out tonight.
Hey.
And that normally gets a response, and we always call Claudia Baby Jesus. So she never responded, and I'm looking like, that's odd, because that comment should have elicited a response. Yeah, so what happened was I got a call from my sister. So when I seen her baby sister's phone number, I automatically thought, okay, maybe her phone died, so she's texting me on Ebony's. When I answered the phone, I heard a bunch of screaming, and it was Ebony yelling, "Nobody's moving." I'm like, okay, why are you screaming? Nobody's moving. Claudia's been in a bad accident. So I'm panicking.
Right.
So what I do is I tell Trip I gotta go. I think my family's dead.
Yeah.
So at this point, I'm leaving Spring Hill Avenue, trying to make it to Lloyd's Lane, and I actually went through the city, which I probably should have went to interstate, just going back now. But I went through the city, and it was forever. That ride was the longest ride. So I kept calling back. Has anybody moved? Has anybody moved? Nobody was moving. So for the next 20 minutes, I'm thinking my entire family is dead. So I get there. Well, actually, en route, I text a bunch of people, like my inner circle of friends. So I text them, tell them what's going on. They're panicking, and it was like a call to arms because they all mobilized. Like,
Right.
My family, my sister, my mom's, called Kobe's father, and like I say, and I called a bunch of friends of mine who worked at the hospital, because by that time I had got a phone call that Jacoby was on his way to South. Mm-hmm. Mm. So I called doctor friends, hey, if your husband's on or if you're on, my kids are coming to the hospital, my family's in a bad accident. So I get there, and all I see is lights. So I run up, I had to park down the street, so I run up, and while running up, I see the kid sitting to the right, and like just got enraged, but before I can look at him and really just react, I seen her laying in the street. And from that point, I think at that point, if you ask me, that's where I went numb, and also my purpose shifted. Yes. And I think that shift in that moment is what saved me from going crazy. Yeah. To be honest with you. So that's when I got there, and we sat in the street for, I want to say, an hour. They kept asking me to move. I'm like, we have to process the crime scene. I told them, as long as my wife in the street,
you're gonna be right there with her.
You want me to move? Handcuff me, take me off. Right. So I sat in the street till the coroner came, and that's when I started processing the entire scene. It was like you wouldn't believe. It was crazy.
Tell us about it. Tell us about that. What you saw.
Well, actually, I saw our car had been pushed sideways from one end of the driveway, which is a roundabout driveway. So she was pulling out, attempting to pull out, and he hit her, and he was pushed across the front of the yard into the other end of the roundabout. Our car came to a stop based because of the fire hydrant. His car was on his side behind our car. At that point, kids. Right. Are they alive?
And someone was in the car was caught yet?
Yes, both of my children were. Yes. Both of my children were. So Brooke was, I'm believing when I pulled on Lord's Lane, the last ambulance to come past me, Brooke was headed, and she was going to Spring Hill Hospital because USA was on diversion because all the level 1 trauma beds had been filled for the night. Oh. Jacoby, I want to believe, if I'm accurate, Jacoby took the bed number 15. So Brooke was slated to fly to Pensacola.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So what ended up happening with Brooke?
Well, by that time, like I said, I had called my inner circle of friends, and bless their soul, they got to my in-laws along with Pastor Robinson, Vincent Robinson and his wife. They all came, and we've been friends 30-some years, so they came through, everybody came through, and they was like just huddled around us. So when I got the call that Brooke, they was attempting to life flight Brooke to Sacred Heart, I believe that's in Pensacola. Okay. I was like, man, I'm starting trying to do the logistics now. I got one kid that's going to be in USA, one in Pensacola. What can I do? So at that point, it didn't matter. We rushed to Spring Hill. When I get to the hospital, Brooke, at that point, they tell me Brooke is totally brain dead. That she is. What she had was, diffuse axial syndrome. Was like, when it was described to me, it's like when your head and neck jerk so violently that it blows out your brain. So Kobe was in a coma. Brooke was the machine was breathing for us at that point.
And this was while she was at
Spring Hill.
Okay.
So while at Spring Hill, I went in the room with two of the friends of mine waiting on my son.